Well, good morning everybody and welcome to the channel. Family and I are visiting Pickwick Landing State Park, doing a little fishing, just do a little family time, and wanted to get out this morning and do some fishing and do a video for you on catching fish in a state park. I want to show you how you can just go out and catch some fish with probably the most basic and simple method that there is for fishing. I've been out here about 15 minutes. I've done got two little bluegill in the basket over here. Just doing a video this morning on catching fish in a state park. You're taking a family trip, maybe you're taking the kids out, maybe you don't have all the equipment that you need for bass fishing, maybe you don't have the time that you need for catfishing, and we're not picky. You just want to get out and catch some fish. My first advice is fish for brim, and whether that's with plastics or live bait. I was out yesterday and I caught a few on just some little Bobby Garland finesse rigs, but live bait is the way to go if you just want to go out and try to catch something. Okay, for getting out and just catching fish, you know, that's all you want to do and you're not picky about what you catch, is keep your rig small, keep your hook small, keep your bait small, and that'll guarantee success fishing. A lot of people oversize everything. You run out to Walmart, you grab 7-foot, you know, medium heavy ugly stick, you put 20 and 30 pound mono on it, and you go out with a bobber and a worm trying to catch brim. You're grossly oversized for these little fish. Do yourself a favor and get some small hooks. Number 6, number 8 bait holder hooks are perfect for just getting out and catching some brim, but they'll also land bass and catfish as well. But a good rule of thumb to remember is a little hook can land a great big fish. But if your hook is too big to get in the fish's mouth, it's really going to narrow your chances of catching anything. So an important thing to remember is that brim are a lot of times impact strikers. So what that means is within 5 to 10 seconds of your bait hitting the water, that's your best chance to catch a fish. You know, a lot of times we think, well, we're not fishing with a lure, then we don't need to reel. We need to let our bait sit, keep your line out. Just keep in mind that movement can trigger a strike. So, you know, I've been out here a good 30 seconds now, but I am gonna twitch my line a little bit, keep that bobber steadily moving back to me. And by doing that, you can actually locate the fish, because when you move across them with that worm moving and you get a hit, well, you'll know, hey, maybe there's another fish there and you can cast back. When I'm brim fishing, I fish fast, and I've said that in some videos before. Keep your line constantly hitting the water surface, because what you're mimicking is insects, flies, and bugs that land on top of the water, and also bugs that fall out of trees. You can see here I'm fishing next to a tree. The fish feed on, that's what they associate when that worm or that bobber smacks the top of the water. And so they're gonna come and investigate, and that's your best chance to get a strike. You're fishing an overfished area. So when you come to a state park and fish, it literally gets thousands of visitors every year, especially during peak seasons. So you're fishing in very populated spots. So if you limit yourself to just walking down to the pier or the boat ramp where everybody else has been fishing, it's going to be really overfished and it may be harder to catch a fish there. So branch out a little bit. If there's nature trails that you can fish off the side of, go walk those trails, pack your gear along, go for a hike and do some fishing there. You can see here, I've got a fishing pier and I'm going to fish it, but it's not where I started at. I actually started off the edge of the parking lot, right here along the edge of the water, where it doesn't get fished near as much. And by getting out and trying those places that fewer people have fished can increase your chance of success. If you're not catching fish, move. Try a different spot. You can come back to it, because a lot of times fishing action will change from minute to minute or even a half hour later, but keep moving around. So I just spent, you know, 20 minutes fishing right here, and I caught 3 and I kept getting bites, but those bites weren't leading to fish. Then I moved over to this side, pulled out a 4th fish on the first cast, and we're gonna try this hole for a while. The next tip, cast in. Everybody wants to see how far out they can cast, but the reality is there's a lot more structure up closer to the bank, and that's where the fish are gonna be, especially the brim that you're fishing for anyway. So, you know, rather than standing on the opposite side of the dock casting out into the middle of the lake, Spend your time casting in toward the shore to increase your chances of a catch. The next tip, cast parallel to structures. Fish are predators and oftentimes ambush predators. So if you've got a dock or a pier like this one, a lot of times the fish are stacked in under, waiting on something to come by. So by casting parallel to the structure, when your bait is brought back along the edge of it, a lot of times is when they'll come in and hit it. There's a fish. Nicer fish. So I don't know if you noticed or not in the video, but the first thing that this guy did when I caught him is he tried to dart back underneath the pier. So that's his safe spot. So when you cast parallel to these types of structures, like I said, fish are likely to run out, grab it, and then try to dart back in. Next, don't be afraid to keep working the same area over and over and over. Bedding fish like brim or bluegill will oftentimes have multiple fish all in one little spot. And by consistently casting into that spot, you stand a greater chance for repeatedly catching fish. Like that. Next, don't be afraid to change it up. If you don't feel like you're getting as many bites as you should, or maybe you're not getting any bites, change things up a little bit. Bobber placement or float placement can make a big difference. And sometimes even fishing without a bobber and putting your bait directly on the bottom can make a huge difference. So change things up a little bit, try different varying depths. You may have noticed that I do not have a weight on my line. I've got a bobber, about 2 foot of line, and then a number 8 hook with a red worm on it. And the reason that I do that is I think it gives a little bit more natural presentation. It gives a more natural fall of that worm through the water column rather than having a weight just suddenly jerk the worm down. And yes, a weight can help you reach depths a lot quicker. So if you know that the fish are at, say, 8 feet deep, then yeah, you want to wait to get you down there so that you're in the game fishing as fast as you can. But if you're not really sure where the fish are, a lot of times having them weight on can actually hurt you, because you will pass the depth to where the fish are in the water column, and then you're fishing underneath. So by taking the weight off, I found that that works well for me. It gives that worm a slower descent, and as it passes through the area where the fish are, then that's where it's the most likely to get hit. Structure like this buoy in front of me here and other pilings are great places to cast toward, because they offer something different than wide open water below the surface. So this is probably anchored to a chain. That chain will keep bait fish around it. It can also keep your target fish around it as they're after the bait. So casting near those types of structures can increase your chance to catch fish. So something else, and this may seem a little bit extra, is a cast net. And a cast net is a great way to locate what are you fishing for, what's even out there. So I have found that a lot of times by throwing in a cast net, especially if I'm not catching anything, there could be a reason why, and that reason might be that there's no fish there. So a cast net's a great way to kind of take a sampling of what's there, and then you never know, if you do have plans later for, say, catfishing, a cast net's a great way to gather bait. Just make sure what's legal to cast net in your state. In this case, we didn't net our target species, but what we did get is a very healthy shad. So if I was planning to do some catfishing later, that shad would be perfect bait. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a little bit different, so if this is your first time here, hey, head over to my channel, check out my other videos. We've got a lot of different videos: catfishing, bluegill fishing, catching drum, eating longnose, gar, you name it, we've done it. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. Hope these tips help you on your next state park visit to go catch a few more fish. And like always, we'll catch you next time right here on the J-Line.